Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel BethChatsBooks. Now today's video is going to be my September favourites video. Now I have a few items that I'm going to talk about that are Canadian related because at the end of August I finished my camp contract and I travelled with my partner Ben for 10 days in September around Toronto and Ottawa. So a few of my favourites are going to be Canadian related, but then the rest are going to be a book and a few TV programmes and a film. So without further ado, let's just get straight into my September favourites video. So the first thing I want to talk about is obviously mine and Ben's travel. That was a major highlight of my September month. Me and Ben went to Toronto and Ottawa, and while we were there we did lots of travelling. So we went to go see the Houses of Parliament in Ottawa, went to a few museums in Ottawa, both the Nature Museum, which had a new Arctic gallery. We walked into Gatineau and went to the History Museum there in Ottawa. In Toronto we went to a cat cafe with all these lovely gorgeous cats, and that was really cute, and I had a nice little latte there, and that was a great way to spend an afternoon. We also stayed at Kensington Market and we went to loads of vegetarian and vegan restaurants. I'm a pescatarian, so I eat fish, but I really enjoy going to vegetarian restaurants because I don't eat meat, so I dragged Ben to a few of them and he did enjoy them, but he does eat meat, so he wasn't fully satisfied with that. And we did lots of sightseeing, we did book browsing and loads of different things. Now I was going to put some pictures, but then I've recently done my Canadian summer slideshow video, which was the last one I uploaded, and I'm just going to link it down below so you can go over there and check out all the fun things we did and all the pictures we have. There are some camp related ones in there, but obviously I haven't included any pictures with any of my actual campers because we're not allowed to put them on social media. So that was a big highlight and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then on a similar vein, I have two items that I got while I was at camp that I thought I would show you guys because I've been using them this month and I've been really enjoying them. So the first one was, at camp every year we get given a staff gift. Now last year I got given a blanket, and basically the L team, the leadership team, at the end of every summer think of a gift and they give it to every member of staff who's worked there throughout the summer. So I'm going to show you the gift. It came with a little tag attached, and they usually say a nice little endearing message about how camp stays with you and all these things, but I took that off because I put it into a little memorabilia notebook because I tend to keep little keepsakes, and I'll talk about that more in a sec. But the gift we got was a Merrywood camp mug. So on the front it has Merrywood and it says Easter Seals Camp. It also has another sister twin camp that Easter Seals owns called Wood Eden, so that's why that's there. And then on the back it says, as you can tell in some caps letters and some of them, it says, "Oh, there is a camp I know and it lies on the Rideau and they call it Merrywood." Now these are lyrics to the official Camp Merrywood song, and that was a song that we would sing at the end of every campfire for all the children. And on YouTube somewhere they have the actual song. Many years ago they posted it where they sing along to it, so I'm going to link that down below if you actually want to hear what the song sounds like. It's very sweet. I'm never going to forget this song, and in the winter months now I can cuddle up with it. I've been testing it a lot, I've been putting different teas in it, and I've been really enjoying it, and it's such a sweet keepsake. I was so nervous about getting it through the flight, bubble wrapping it and everything, but it's managed to survive, and it's just a very sweet keepsake from my experience at camp that I'm going to treasure forever, so it's a very big favourite this month. And then on a similar vein, at camp we always at the end of every session used to give camper awards to the campers for, you know, the biggest diva award or other things, funny little things like that, or the big friendly award or best smiler or things like that. And so we thought it was really nice at camp that we usually give a staff on staff gift. So the leadership team usually give us all a gift to say thank you for working, but individually we pick out another member of staff and we exchange gifts with them. So this is the gift that I received, and I received this from Emily. Now she was the arts and crafts programmer this year, but she also helped out with the nursing staff. And so she kindly bought me this notebook, and then she went out of her way to get really pretty, if you can see, like gold stickers. It's got my name on the front, and then on the back it's got a beautiful little sticker, and it's one of those really handy notebooks that has the little toggle, I don't know how else to describe it, the little pullover tab that's really useful to keep it really safe. So Inside, it was really sweet as well. She gave me the Pulitzer Prize Award because she knows I'm a bit of a book nerd, and she wrote me a very thoughtful letter. I'm not going to read it out because it's a bit personal, but it was very, very sweet. And I've been using this book at the moment as a goal log. So I've put some long-term goals, and then I've been putting some short-term goals to achieve them. Things like travelling, career progression, booktube progression, blog progression, those kind of things. So it's a beautiful gift. I adore notebooks because I like to keep a log of all these different things. So this was a personal favourite. It's beautiful. Thank you, Emily, so much. And it's been a real favourite to be digging into this and to start compiling lists and things like that inside it, because I love having notebooks. I love making lists. It satisfies me a lot to keep a log of what's going on, so it's beautiful and I adore it. And then on a similar vein, many months ago, in January when I turned 21, me and Ben went to Amsterdam to celebrate, and he gave me this notebook, and I've been keeping it as a log for all the books I read. So since then I've been logging inside of it. I'll show you. Kind of books, the date I've read them, the date I finished them, star rating, and then just general opinions. So I've been keeping it alongside my Goodreads page, just to keep up to date with what I'm reading. But then I decided, because when I first went to Amsterdam I was keeping memorabilia of tickets and things like that inside, so I decided to continue on the other page, because if you can see here, this bit's lined but this bit was empty, so I was filling that with bits. And so I continue doing that with camp. I've been putting memorabilia, a log of things I've been doing each day, an activity with the children. And then when Ben came out, I was filling it with tour guide tickets and, you know, museum guides and things. So although this wasn't purchased this month, September was a month where I was still filling this in, as well as August, but it's been a personal highlight. I feel it's really important to have a book that you can log all the books that you've been reading. I thought it was beautiful. But also I like having memorabilia logs. I like to be able to keep tickets from travelling and things like that, and kind of a memory book this of loads of different things. So that's something I've been using a lot this month, and it's also another highlight. And then that's kind of all of the Canadian themed favourites for September. Now I'm going to go into the only book that I want to talk about in this favourites video, and it's not my absolute favourite of the month, but it's one that I've kind of read towards the end of September. I didn't put it in my end of summer wrap up, and I'm not going to put it in my October wrap up, because this was kind of the end of September and I thought I would read more books. If you're going to watch my Brew Time Babble, I will talk about this book in way more detail, so don't expect too much here. But this is the only book I read in between those months, so I discussed it more in my Brew Time Babble instead of putting it in a wrap up. And that is How Not to Be a Boy by Robert Webb. Now, in the Brew Time Babble, I'm going to discuss this in lots of detail, so go over there if you want to hear an in-depth discussion on it. But I remembered that I did not put 5-star rating on that particular video, so I'm going to tell you now that I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. It's fascinating. It's a really raw look at Robert Webb's experience with his sexuality, masculinity, his childhood, his dysfunctional moments, his failures, and his triumphs. It's very raw, very open and honest. He's a very endearing character in this, because there's no pretense, there's no pompous attitude. It takes a lot of guts to disclose some of the information that was in this. It's a thoroughly fascinating look at gender. I really, really enjoy this. I highly recommend this to so many people, because it's not just an autobiography. In fact, I didn't feel like this was an autobiography. I felt like this was kind of gender case study. It has really exciting kind of glints of humour in this. He doesn't take himself too seriously. It's really, really interesting, and if you are interested in gender studies like I am, then this is a must read for you. I just loved it, loved it, loved it. And if you want to go see more on this, then go look at my Brew Time Babble video, because I just did a video entirely on it with way more information, so go check it out. So there's that one. And then I'm going to go over to the world of TV, film, TV shows for you right now. So the first one I'm going to do is a TV show that's British, that's on at the moment, and it's called Liar. And as a family, we're ploughing through it at the moment. We're really enjoying it. It is on at the moment, so I'll link information down below, so if you live in the UK you can go check it out. I think it's on ITV Player at the moment. So last night was episode 4 that we watched. Now the two main characters in it are Joanne Froggatt from Downton Abbey, and then Johan Grufford. I might be pronouncing both those wrong, really, really sorry. And he was in Fantastic Four, and he's been in loads of different stuff. He's a Welsh actor. And basically the premise is that these two people go on a date. Johan's character had lost his wife a few years before. They go on this date and they go back to her house, and they obviously have sex, but she wakes up the next day and she believes it was rape. She can't really remember the incident. She thinks she's been drugged because she has no recollection of the act, but she feels like she knows it's happened. And we slowly learn things about both of their pasts. And at the moment it's heading in a cliche direction where we're going to believe that he's telling the truth for about 3 or 4 episodes, and then it's going to spin it on its head towards the end. Now it's going to be 6 episodes long, and we're up to episode 4 at the moment. I think it's a fascinating look at something that's very topical and relevant. It's the topic of rape is in and out of the newspapers a lot at the moment. We've had sensational news stories in the UK over the last couple of years about footballers sleeping with underage women at clubs. There's a lot of incidents where women have been crying rape, whether it's with celebrities or non-celebrities, and there's been a big issue. A lot of charities that deal with circumstances of rape have been trying to increase the knowledge about how many people are raped in the UK, and I'm sure in the same case further overseas as well. I personally think that I would have loved ITV to have taken on a storyline that was a little bit more unclear, because at the moment there's a lot of news stories produced and a lot of controversy around the idea of consent and how from a legal point of view consent has to be verbal for it to be approved. You know, that people who engage in a sexual act together have to give verbal consent. Now in today's day and age where there's hookups and there's dating apps and people are having one night stands or they're getting very inebriated and then sleeping with each other, verbal consent is no longer a kind of given. A lot of people take consent from the physicality and the bodily responses of the person they're with, and what they see as behaviour that implies that they can fornicate with the other person. So I would have really liked maybe a more refreshing take on the fact that it's such a murky territory, and maybe more ambiguous or vague kind of plot line in which we're not sure who's telling the truth. I think that would have been more fascinating, whereas I think it's going to have more of a straightforward ending of him going to be portrayed as the monster, you know, the rapist. It's very interesting though. I highly recommend it to the UK watchers. The acting is really good in it. It deals with a topic that is very relevant right now. It's taking many twists and turns, but I personally, if I had just one niggle about it, it's I think being too conventionally played, and I would have liked more of this ambiguity about who really is in the right or wrong, or who needs to take responsibility. Another programme that we've been watching a lot in this household is called Transparent. I believe it's an Amazon original series, but I'm not entirely sure, so don't take my word for it. But the main character in it is the actor Jeffrey Tambor, or Tambor, I don't know how you say that. He's famous for, he was in the Hunger Games, and if I show you a picture somewhere you'll recognise him. And basically the main premise of this particular series is that they're a big Jewish family, and the character of Jeffrey Tambor wants to come out as trans, and he wants to transition into a woman. And he has 3 children, 1 son and 2 daughters, and they have their interesting subplots. So the 2 daughters have different lesbian subplots and different sexuality developments, and the son finds out halfway through the series that he had a son he didn't know about, and the son's been raised as a Christian and they're Jewish. Lots of bits where they reflect on this kind of LGBTQ element and how they believe in that identity alongside their religious identity and their belief in Judaism. It's also really funny at points. They're a very dysfunctional family. It's meant to be satirical, I guess it's meant to be funny, and you're meant to feel uncomfortable and laugh at points in the series. There's also a lot of very explicit LGBTQ or gay sex scenes and a lot of heavy sexual content, a lot of nudity and things like that. So if that makes you uncomfortable, then I wouldn't recommend this series to you, but it's something refreshing and new. Again, similar to the other programme I was talking about, it's very topical and relevant at the moment, with big celebrities coming out, such as Bruce Jenner or Caitlyn Jenner, or she has been heralding this new identity, and that's been expressed in the news recently. So it's very relevant, very topical, but it's just a good funny sitcom regardless of all those elements, but it definitely has those themes in it. So if that makes you uncomfortable or you're not a fan of those kind of sitcoms, then don't watch it. But if you are, and if you want to see diversity and you want to see a funny sitcom at the same time, then I highly recommend this series to you. It was fantastic. And then the last thing I want to talk about is some kind of film. Now, it's not just one film, it's a series of films. And it's not going to be new to anyone. It's the Lord of the Rings series. Now, I mentioned in a previous video, I think I mentioned in the I'm Back video, which I'll link down below, that I finally finished it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't think I would because I'm not a big fantasy kind of girl, and it's took me a long time. Obviously, I'm way past the bandwagon of when this was a popular series. They're very long films, but I thoroughly enjoyed them. I binge watched them. Now I can understand all the references and all the characters and the destruction of the ring and Gollum and all these exciting things. So I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and at the moment I have the box set of the books in a cupboard in my room at the moment, and it's motivated me to want to read them. So I want to know, do you think I should read the books? How did you feel about the films? How do you feel about the books? I also know that Game of Thrones is a really popular fantasy series at the moment. It's near the end and I've only watched up to series 1 and then kind of got put off and distracted, but I want to know, is it worth reading the books first? Should I watch the series? Would you recommend it? Are there any other fantasy series, both books and films, that you'd recommend? Because I know there's a lot of series such as Outlander and other things that people are really big fans of. So anybody that's a fantasy fanatic, please let me know what I should be reading, what I should be watching. Pitch anything to me because I'm in a fantasy kind of mood and I would really love to hear your opinions on that. So please just comment down below with anything that you think I should take a look at or take a read of. I would really appreciate that. So that's all my September favourites. I'm sorry it's a little bit wish-washy with all kinds of different things in it, but those were some of the things that I really enjoyed. I would really love to know what you enjoyed in the month of September. I recently watched Lauren's September favourites over at Lauren in the Books, and she had a whole lot of miscellaneous things. She had bedding and books and all other things that she'd been enjoying. Mugs, candles, they're also really popular things. So what have you been enjoying and what are your favourites of this month? Please just comment down below with some of the things that you've been enjoying. I'd love to know, and also you can contact me on any of my social media that I link down below to just let me know what you've been enjoying this month, because I would love to hear it. So that's everything. I'm going to post an October book haul / TBR very soon, so be on the lookout for that. But thank you guys for watching and I'll see you very soon. Bye.